What's up, everybody? I had asked on Twitter for you guys to submit questions, and boy, did you guys deliver. Some of you didn't, however, and for those that didn't, there will be spankings. But for those that did, I am going to answer your questions right now. So the first questions come from Luna Me, who asked, "It is not a question, but you totally talk and sound like a teacher, not meant as an offense. What subject did you teach?" So the reason I sound like a teacher probably is because I was a teacher at one point in my life. I taught preschool. I had plans to be a certified teacher because with preschool, you need to get fingerprinted, piss tested, TB tested, all of that stuff. So my fingerprints and DNA is on file with the FBI. So I'm pretty sure they have a record on me. Just just because. But other than that, you have to get like CPR certified, first aid certified, that kind of thing, which I did. So I had like all of that. And as far as like teaching, I would have loved to become like a fully certified teacher. But that never happened because I never finished college. She then asks, "You are permitted to grade me, teacher, what subject?" Honestly, when I had thought about doing teaching and when I was going to go and become certified for teaching, I had no idea because it wasn't, oh, I'm going to college to be a teacher. It was, I'm going to college to get a degree in computer science and then I would later get a teaching degree, but it never occurred to me like what I wanted to do with it. But thinking now, I think I would want to be probably an English teacher because I think when it comes to a lot of stuff, you can probably incorporate a lot of stuff into English. See, I want to, like, I had numerous teachers who went outside the box. I had an astronomy teacher who we would make bombs in their class. And we learned like a whole bunch of other things that didn't necessarily have to do with astronomy per se, like camera obscuras, distribution of weight using beds of nails, flash animation. And so I don't think if you're a teacher, yeah, you want to teach like the core stuff, but I don't necessarily think that you want to necessarily limit what like you could teach in any given moment. Like there's and I think that's what the big problem now with schools is. Teachers kind of teach by the book now and not by the passion of the students. The book tells you where to go and what to teach and how to prepare them for the test, but like not really where to go after that. Like I have memories of a lot of teachers, right? And I I have memories of my astronomy teacher, who's actually on YouTube right now, that I found a couple months ago, which I think is hilarious. He's still doing crazy things, and I love that. But I had an English teacher who taught me to look into why people do the things that they do. Specifically, she's talking about books. Over the years, I've kind of done that with everything. I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. I had watched a bunch of his movies in high school, Dogma, Chasing Amy, Mallrats. I had watched all of those, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. It takes place in Jersey. But because of my English teacher who taught me to go and look into why people do the things that they do, and she specifically talked about books because we were reading this one book on Harlem, and Harlem has bad reputation. It has the reputation of being run down and very poor, but the author, he actually lived there. And when he's describing it, he's not describing a neighborhood in need. He's describing a neighborhood full of life where the people are the heart and soul of the community. So when it comes to like Kevin Smith, I'm like, okay, well, he's like I looked into it and I'm like, oh wow, he grew up in Jersey. He's not a Hollywood elite that was born and bred into that society. He made an indie film. He sold his comic book collection to fund this indie film that he couldn't afford everything, so he made it in black and white. And because of that teacher, it gives me a new appreciation for film and everything else, and even YouTube and content creators. And because you look into, you learn about them, you learn why they are the way they are. And I've had earth science teachers who made me write stories about certain eras of time and bring in elements from that era, like plants and animals from that era, like the Jurassic period, the Mesozoic period, incorporate those types of plants and stuff into stories. I know I didn't go to like a traditional school or anything, but I don't think like you necessarily teachers should be limited to what subject they teach, but it should be limited to what the students are really passionate about, and kind of like help them find what they're passionate about. So to answer the question, which I know I went off on like a big rant there, but to answer the question, the subject I would want to teach, I think it would be probably English or like computer programming, but it would be in such a way that it wouldn't just be that. It would be geared toward what people are passionate about. The next question comes from Uncle Moppy, who asks, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? I think the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow is double that of a laden spitter. The next question comes from Ev the Veg. It's probably Ev the Veg. I am horrible with names. I am so horrible with names. Who would win a fight, Joe Exotic or the Joker? I think Joe Exotic would give the Joker meth and make him a husband. So in reality, I think they're both winners. And his next question is, how is Delaware? Well, okay. Delaware is Delaware. I mean, look, as Wayne's World had it, where it's like, we're in Delaware. What's in Delaware? That's pretty much what is here. There's no major sports teams. There's no, you know what's here right now is a beach. And with that beach comes a lot of tourists, and they come from DC. The biggest thing about Delaware is the former vice president, Joe Biden, and he wasn't even born here. He moved here from like Scranton, Pennsylvania, but he has lived here so long they consider him Delaware. He is basically Delaware. If you want to think Delaware, think Joe Biden, because old white boring man is pretty much how I would describe Delaware. MGG FivYT asks, what was your inspiration for doing Twitch? Growing up, I wanted to be, I guess you could say I wanted to be a content creator. Even though content creator has only really been a thing since YouTube came out. There were content creators before that, right? There were bloggers, there were meme makers before they were called memes. They were just like funny images, but you never called them content creators. You called them bloggers and MySpace graphic makers, directors, that kind of thing. Growing up, I was always writing. I wrote like plays, and I guess you'd call them movie scripts and stuff. And I always wanted to be a director. I wanted to go to film school, and that kind of all felt like, that's just like, oh yeah, those are like pipe dreams. I guess, had I known about like Kevin Smith while growing up, and he grew up like 2 towns over from me, and stuff like that. Like, had I known that while watching Chasing Amy and Dogma growing up, I might have pursued film career or something. But yeah, so yeah, I wanted to basically be a director growing up. And then, YouTube came out, and I had like in the early days, like years ago, I tried to do YouTube videos. I tried to like record gameplay, and what I learned about that is talking to yourself is hard. And even on Twitch, it's hard. And then what I also learned after that was that I hate editing videos, which is odd because this is a YouTube video that I'm going to be editing down later. But yeah, I actually hate editing videos. It is time consuming. I get distracted. Rendering it takes forever. And I decided I wanted to do Twitch. And I also really wasn't a PC gamer back then. So doing Twitch had to wait until the Xbox supported it. So I did it, and it was like, okay, I'm getting no viewers, and I'm not talking, so I will wait. So I waited, and they put out an update that you could have more than one person's voice. You could record the party chat. So I waited for that update to come out, and then me and a friend, we went into voice chats, and I thought we were funny. We were just making, you know, commentary on Twitch, and it turned out to be okay. And then I'm like, well, I actually like this, so I'm gonna. When he fell off doing it, I just continued, and I'm like, screw it, I'm just gonna keep doing this because I like it, and you know, doing it with someone else, I found that it is not as hard to talk. I mean, it is hard to talk to yourself. Don't get me wrong, but even just commentating what you're doing in the game, like at this point, it's kind of like second nature and mindless for me. But when you're starting out and you have really nothing else to say, it can be hard. So that was kind of my inspiration because I just always wanted to be a content creator. Mercy Wolf asks, what is an acceptable length and girth for an eggplant? 420 high, 69 wide. Anything more and anything less than those two numbers is just unacceptable. And that could be inches, centimeters, millimeters, however the hell you measure an eggplant. Jelly Darling asks, how long is a giraffe's dick? I know a horse dick is pretty long that you can injure a human with it. I imagine a giraffe's dick, while not as long as his neck, has to be pretty damn long. I mean, how do giraffes even have sex? Just those two necks in the air waving around like they just don't care. That would be really interesting to see. Now I want to see two giraffes having sex. Thanks, Jelly. So this has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed making this video. I may do more of these AMAs. If you guys actually like this, ask me some questions in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.